What's going on, guys? Today we're going to be reading Valorant patch notes for patch 1.04 and came out on 07/21/20. How about those Elder Flame weapon skins? At least they weren't cake. Hope you caught some of that Valorant fan art too.
Onto this patch, 4 agents get some polish, with VIPER coming away with a series of buffs, including a per second increase of her decay against enemies. You're also going to have to work a bit extra now if you want to use those powerful Brimstone and Raze ults.
A bug fix for the classic gave us an opportunity to go in and tune the weapon's behavior. Hey, while you're in the pre-round buy menu, take a look at these new easier to compare stats. Agent updates, VIPER.
VIPER's Pit. Max time outside of her ult before it collapses changed from 5 to 15 seconds. VIPER can hold the ability to drop her ult early. Enemies in VIPER's Pit have their minimap obscured and do not provide minimap detection to their allies. Increase the brightness of the red enemy glow at the edge of VIPER's near sight.
Alright, first off, I think the more powerful part of this would be the max time outside of her ult increasing to 15 seconds. That gives you a lot of outplay potential.
I think the biggest one is that the enemy can't go through her ultimate and see vision on the minimap.
The increase in brightness of the red enemy glow at the edge of her near sight will also help a lot for when you're trying to hold a position in the smoke. You might be able to see them just a little bit faster before they can react. With VIPER being allowed out of her ult for such a short period of time, we felt that she was not only limited in her plays she could make, but also gave too much continuous information to her enemies. The ability to move outside of the smoke ult more freely should provide some new and interesting mind games for VIPER to play, and hopefully puts the strategic pressure back on the enemy. The other improvements should push VIPER's advantage in her own smoke and help her avoid getting traded by enemies using minimap vision to target her.
Decay. Enemy decay per second increased from 10 to 15 from all sources. After exiting VIPER's smoke, enemy decay sustained for 2.5 seconds before starting to fade.
So I think both of these are pretty lethal. It's going to make it a lot harder to just push through her utility, and it's definitely going to be more punishing when you do.
I think her damage, honestly, I thought her damage was completely fine in the poison.
Well, again, I think this also is another buff to her ult that they didn't really show, that wasn't talked about in the pit, because as they're in the smoke, it will make them go down to 1 health faster.
I think the second one is a lot more detrimental because it actually stays instead of instantly starting to fade.
That is true. You'll have to be careful with your plays as you exit smokes. VIPER's decay depleting so quickly from enemies was limiting the advantage it provided and wasn't creating the threat we had hoped for as a result. Adding a delay before it fades will hopefully widen the window where VIPER and her team can capitalize and pair with the VIPER's Pit updates above to provide fresh ways to play around her ult.
Fuel. Having both Poison Cloud and Toxic Screener active does not consume additional fuel beyond the cost of having one active.
So all the buffs above for each ability are kind of just wrapped together well with this one buff that makes all the abilities usable at one time without reducing her overall fuel economy, which is pretty good. It'll help sustain throughout the full round while still getting consistent utility out.
Definitely.
Alright, for Raze. Showstopper ultimate cost change from 6 to 7 ult points. This will definitely slow down her rocket launcher spam, and you'll have to think a little harder on when you use it. But it's not a big increase. I think that's the most any other ult cost, so we'll have to see how that plays out.
I think it's a big but needed change, considering the ult is basically at least 1 free kill for your team. It's pretty big.
Definitely not much for this character's changing. Raze's ultimate is one of the most impactful in the game and useful in almost any situation. As a result, it is being used a bit too often, so we're upping the cost by 1, which should help reduce how often players have to face her showstopper. On to Brimstone.
Brimstone. Orbital Strike ultimate cost changed from 6 to 7 ult points.
Ouch. Much like Raze's ultimate, Brimstone's ult is very impactful and useful in a wide variety of situations. We feel like it was impacting rounds a little too frequently, so we decided to up the cost slightly.
Stim Beacon no longer buffs enemies and no longer shows its effect radius to enemies.
The Stim Beacon is meant to be pretty situational ability, but we felt that revealing Brimstone's location and having the potential to accidentally buff enemies was making this ability significantly weaker than we'd like.
Definitely. Because whenever a Stim Beacon were to be planted down and the enemy could see it, they would know that not only Brim is there, but he's probably about to push.
Alright, Brimstone's arms fidelity. When you really think about an FPS, you'll notice you spend an awful amount of time looking at your arms. like all the time. Before launch, we intended to increase the fidelity of Brimstone's arms to match the overall quality of the game. We did it. Now look at those guns. So I guess they just made his arms look nicer. Cypher. I'll leave this to the Cypher main.
Cyber Cage can now be picked up during the buy phase. Hell yes. I am so glad they can do that now. I'm so glad I can do that now.
Weapon updates. Classic. The classic right click was the primary bug fix here, but we saw an opportunity to make the weapons behave a bit more consistently. We slightly tuned efficiency on jump right clicks, but hopefully haven't taken away their viability in close range scenarios. Fixed bugs where running and accuracy on the right click was much higher than intended. Running was adding a 1.5 penalty because it was referencing our generalized running error curves for pistols. Fixed bug where jumping had no inaccuracy penalty. Running spread is changed from 3.4 to 2.1, primarily a bug fix. Jumping spread changes from 1.9 to 2.3. Walking spread changes from 1.9 to 1.95. Added a 10% bonus to accuracy when crouching and stationary. Intent is to feel consistent with crouch, providing an accuracy benefit. Alright. HUD and UI. Replace the previous weapon stats text box in the pre-round shop with an easier to compare graphical representation of stats. So quality of life. Observer minimap vision cones are now colored by team. Replaced Reyna's voiceover for Italian Spanish. Unfortunately, due to COVID-19, the talents we identified for the role were not able to record due to regional restrictions. You can now find in-game the voices were originally intended for Italian and Spanish Reyna. Elder Flame skins. Adjusted the volume on the Elder Flame operator equip animation. Fixed bugs that would cause the volume to stack if you spam equipped the operator. Enemy footstep.
You having a stroke too?
Enemy footsteps duck cosmetic bust properly. This means that enemy footsteps will always lower the volume of the skin sound effects that are not important to gameplay, like the flame whooshes, dragon roar, etc. Elder Flame melee and specs animations now have sound effects for level 1 and 2.
Performance updates. Gun pickup targeting and Sage ultimate targeting unified with ally character highlights, saving VRAM and GPU performance. Minor rendering performance fixes. Gun skin upgrade videos are now streamed instead of locally stored. Reduced install size by 380 megabytes. So now, I guess we lag less?
This is just going to fix some performance issues for the GPU, maybe run a little bit better on some systems, as well as reducing the size of the files stored locally on your computer. Now you'll rely more on your internet connection to help you watch the videos on the different skin upgrades in the shop.
It's pretty sweet, actually.
On to bug fixes. Fixed requirements for Reyna to look at soul orbs to activate them and maintain her healing. Behavior should match that of patch 1.02. So first off, that one's interesting because a lot of people on YouTube thought that it was a patch that was just not put in the previous patch notes. It turns out it wasn't. It turns out it was an unintended glitch and was not meant to be in the game at all, which is definitely helpful for when you're trying to get a kill and then turn on somebody else while healing. Definitely helps.
So now, wait, it's back to normal?
Yes, it's back to normal.
You can actually not, you don't actually have to look at it anymore?
Correct.
Yes! As a Reyna main, I approve.
Alright. Fixed one-way brimstone smokes when the player's camera was around the top of the smoke. So that one was actually, so if you put a smoke down and then you had a little bit of a high ground advantage on the smoke, you'd be able to peek through the outer barrier of the smoke, while people on the other side of the smoke still could not see you. Now that will no longer work.
So it's back, it's actually fixed.
Yes.
It's back to normal.
So now on like A site on Haven, you'll no longer, now on C site on Haven, you'll no longer have to worry about peeking along, only to see nothing but a brim smoke and then dying.
Good.
Alright. Fixed breaches aftershock not properly applying damage to all characters if multiple are hit by it. fixed jittering when reaching the max flight height of Sova's drone. Breaking news, my cat is stuck on the roof. We're gonna finish out these lines and I'm gonna go help get her down.
How you cat get stuck on the roof?
I don't know how she even got out. Alright. So, fixed martial bug where the weapon maintained accuracy while walking. That's good just for overall consistency in the accuracy department of the game. Fixed issues with some translucency effects being one frame behind, such as Jet's dash when used by the players. Fixed all highlights not showing up on some AMD GPUs when using MSAA and some Intel GPUs. Fixed a bug where loading screens did not cover the entire screen when playing in a certain resolution or aspect ratio combination. Shortened the text on the photosensitivity warning screen. Fixed the bug where the equip button would stay grayed out when purchasing a skin variant that is being previewed. Fixed brimstone smokes on Haven spawning offset of where intended. Fixed a typo in Brimstone's biography. Thanks Moon Limes for the report. Alright guys, so that's the patch notes. Alright guys, my name's Subquattro.
My name's Hazard.
This is the 1.04 patch notes. Thank you guys very much for watching. If you found this informational, make sure to leave a like, maybe a subscription, and leave some comments.